and we are about to take a break. And while we're on our break, we want you to have a look at the actual 5K walk that we shared with Angela. It was a great time for a great cause with Voice Today. So have a look and stay tuned. You're watching The Paradox.
Welcome to The Paradox, the Heart of Atlanta segment, and I'm your host, Angela D. And we're here at the Whiteout Run for a Voice 5K event. And this event is in support of Voice Today. Voice Today is a non-profit organization that educates and advocates for child sex abuse. The CDC reports that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused by their 18th birthday. This is an alarming statistic. And here to speak with us on the subject is Voice Today founder Angela Williams. Angela, thank you so much for being with us. And I want you to tell us more about The Voice and what inspired you to create this wonderful organization.
Well, thank you for the interview. It's always a good day when I get to talk about the issue that's so silent, and that's child sexual abuse. Voice Today is a nonprofit organization that's working to break the silence and cycle around child sexual abuse so that we can protect the next generation of children. And I, like so many others, am a survivor of child sexual abuse. So I think from my greatest pain has come my greatest passion, knowing what it does to a life and knowing how long it takes to heal from child sexual abuse and the trauma that it causes. My heart and my passion is to protect children.
And although this is a difficult talk, it's very necessary. How soon do you recommend parents talk to their children about sexual abuse?
We have a great program called Tough Talk to Tender Hearts, and in that program we recommend that you start as young as the child really can communicate with you, maybe around 2 years of age, and especially in educating them on their anatomical body parts, the names of their body parts, and that those parts are private and no one is to touch them except for health and hygiene.
Okay, that's great. And how can we be more proactive? What are some keys you suggest to help in prevention?
We need to be more proactive by educating ourselves as adults on how to predict and prevent child sexual abuse. Our society really waits for a child to disclose, and then that child is met with disbelief. So we've got to, number one, educate on signs and symptoms. We've got to be talking to our children about what's appropriate and what's not appropriate behavior. Instead of making them fear like a terrible person is going to do a terrible thing to them, 93% of the time it's someone the child knows, loves, and trust. So what we've got to do as adults is explain that there might be good people in your life that make bad decisions, that do things that are inappropriate, and go ahead and predispose that child that if that happens, they have to come and tell you, and that you are there to protect them.
Now, no one wants to think about this happening to their child, but what are some potential signs that parents can look for sexual molestation in children?
That's a great question. We really want to look for a drastic change in behavior that we cannot explain. And just some signs of those behavioral changes might be acting out, might be fear, might be isolation, depression, wetting the bed, urinary tract infections. We have another educational program called Signs and Symptoms, which we go through the behavioral signs and the physical signs. But I think that what we want to do is not dismiss that. Sometimes when a child's going through puberty or there's some type of trauma in a child's life, maybe there's a divorce in the family or a death in the family, those are opportunities that predators look for to prey on a child. So we've got to make sure to be asking those important questions. Has anyone ever made you feel uncomfortable? Has anyone ever touched your private parts? Has anyone ever coerced you, manipulated you, convinced you to do something that you're not really sure about, and you need to come and talk to me?
Those are great answers. What can you tell us about a typical predator? Like, for instance, a lot of people aren't aware that sometimes a predator is a female. So what's a typical predator?
Well, we see statistically about 90% are male, so about 10% are female. We also see that predators are not someone you would suspect. They are the pillars of our communities. They have ingratiated themselves in children's lives, usually in youth-serving organizations. They're in some type of position as a teacher or a coach or a mentor. So what we think is a safe person, what we need to be doing is evaluating evaluating how that child interacts with that adult. We want to look for perpetrators that actually try to isolate the child, get the child alone. And when a child has been alone with an adult, which is when the child is most vulnerable, we as adults need to ask that child how the time was spent. And we need to pay close attention to their eye contact, to their body language. And if you are very sensitive and very attuned to your child's behavior, you'll know if there was something that happened, and you'll be able to ask further questions and investigate.
And we want children to speak up if abuse happens. What are some ways we can encourage them to do so?
Well, I think that what we need to do is to get a child talking and keep a child talking. At Voice Today, what we like to explain is when you ask a child how their day went, how they're feeling, has someone ever, hurt their feelings? Has someone ever made them feel uncomfortable? When a child starts to talk, we want to use reflective listening. We want to repeat what the child has said, and we want to say, tell me more. We want to meet that disclosure with calmness, with very much togetherness. We don't want to panic. We don't want to get all excited. We don't want to get upset, because that may shut the child down. So you want to be very calm, very patient. You want to affirm the child for telling you. You want to tell the child that you're there to protect them, and that to try to keep them talking. That way you can get as much information about the situation as you can.
And explain how to get child help once they have told you that they have been abused.
Well, we educate that child sexual abuse is a crime. So like any other crime, you would call 911 immediately, or Child Protective Services. The most important thing is to get that child safe and to preserve that child's testimony. So we have wonderful organizations called Child Advocacy Centers, in which there are trained interviewers that can take the disclosure from the child in a forensic interview and preserve that child's testimony, and that is evidence in a court of law. So immediately engage law enforcement when a child discloses.
Okay, Angela, thank you so much for being with us, but please let our audience know how they can contact Voice Today with more information.
They can go to voicetoday.org. They can friend us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're in all the social media outlets, and we're in desperate need of volunteers. We're in desperate need of financial partners to come alongside us, because we have 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys that are sexually abused before age 18. And we're dealing with, especially in Atlanta, with a human trafficking, child trafficking problem. So we need resources. So I just invite your viewers to go to voicetoday.org and to support us in any way that they can.
Okay, thanks again.
Thank you so much. It was great being with you today.
We are doing a 5K. If you've signed up for any other distance, you are at the wrong race. Everybody wave to the camera. People TV doing a TV special.
We're here for the Voice Today, and you're watching Paradox on People TV.
All right, here we go.
We're here with some runners that just finished the 5K race for The Voice. Let's hear what the ladies have to say.
Hey, we're with Bring In Mortgage, and we're very excited to be here to support Voice Today and the Whiteout 5K. So, very good. It was great.
Great race this morning. Thank you all for having us here. And beautiful weather, and we're enjoying it. And you're watching the Paradox on People TV.
the next generation of children from child sexual abuse and exploitation, and to help survivors heal. In a nutshell, that's what we do. So while we have such a great crowd, we just want to invite you guys, let this be the first step in helping Voice Today. We have a lot of work to do because 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys are sexually abused before they're 18 years old, and only 1 in 10 ever tell. Sadly, the median age is 9 years old, and 93% of the time it's someone that they know, they love, and they trust. So we are working really hard to bring that type of awareness into our communities, to bring advocacy. We just got a bill passed on the Hill, House Bill 17. Woo! It will get passed into law on Tuesday. The governor will be signing it to extend statute of limitations on child sexual abuse civil cases. We work really hard to bring prevention into our communities. If you check out our product table, we have programs for adults and programs for children on how to predict and prevent child sexual abuse, how to empower our children so they know about personal power and personal boundaries. And then we have healing and restoration programs. We provide retreats for survivors, support groups for survivors, healing services for survivors, so that they know they have a community to heal in. There's nothing to be ashamed about by being sexually abused. So I'm going to ask you guys to take a pledge today, and I'm going to ask you to just please read this with me. And then in honor of the children that we are going to save, if you have a white balloon, for the innocence of the next generation, we're going to do a balloon release when we finish reading this pledge. And I ask that these words are just not words that you say, but they're words that you mean, and they're words that you'll continue to share in your community over the next week and months and coming years. I pledge to support efforts to end child sexual abuse in my community. I pledge to protect the innocence of all children in my world. I pledge to monitor one-on-one interactions between an adult or older youth and a child. I pledge to believe a child, to intervene and report if I suspect child sexual abuse. I pledge to get educated on how to predict and prevent child sexual abuse. As a survivor, I pledge to break my silence to seek help and healing. I pledge to be patient, compassionate, and nurturing to survivors of child sexual abuse in my life. This pledge we can make real, each and every one of us. Last year we had half this number of people. Next year we'll have triple this number of people. And the movement will continue to grow. Woo! So as we look up, let's think about the children's lives being here today will impact and change. White balloons you may release.
Thank you for staying with us. We're back, and as you can see, we had a great time at the walk.